This is Edge of the Box, a podcast brought to you by WhoScored.com.
Hello, welcome back to the Edge of the Box podcast, a podcast by WhoScored in association with BetVictor. I'm joined as ever by my reliable Lieutenant Jonathan Wilson, and the baby-faced assassin Martin Lawrence is not here, but we have got a WhoScored representative. It's Josh Wright joining us for his podcast debut. Welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Thank you. Feel a bit
Excited?
like Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, in from nowhere. Held back
all tournament and then unleashed at the business end.
Yeah, it's a big game, to be honest, previewing the semi-finals. That's a big podcast. So yeah, you've been pulled in for the big occasion. And Jonathan, you've been fresh back from Munich. Not feeling the best, but I was going to say you're not feeling the best.
No, I didn't get a huge amount of sleep last week doing Hamden and then Munich. But yeah, and it was a great game in Munich. Italy beating Belgium 2-1. I think probably in terms of quality, the best game of the tournament so far. And yeah, just good to see that Italy team in the flesh.
How good were they? Obviously, we're going to come on and talk about them, but just quickly, how good were they?
Oh, really good, really good. I think you saw the two sides of them. You saw the new attacking side in the first half, and you saw the old defensive side in the second half. And so there's that moment, I don't know, like 10 minutes to go, when Belgium had a free kick on the left, and there was encroachment. And so that whole business of, I think it was De Bruyne taking it, asking the player to get back, smacking the ball into the player, shrugging at the ref deciding, yes, we will have that retaken. De Bruyne lines it up again. Oh, Italy making a substitution, which takes another 40 odd seconds. And you're like, that's just masterful. The timing of that, it's just, and you can see De Bruyne was sort of like, what's the point? You know, we're not going to have time to score here.
Yeah, so crafty.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was watching a game with my dad. I haven't really watched a game of football with my dad for a long time. He came down this weekend and he was hating all the time wasting and stuff. And I thought he was brilliant. I love stuff like that.
I think what Luis Enrique, and if Italy get through whoever, Casper Ullman or Gareth Southgate, I think they have to make a huge point in the build-up of, we saw what Italy like, the referees have got to be strong. And you make sure that referees are sort of primed that is a sort of live issue. So the referees are more likely to take action against the time wasting. Because in that final, so Spinazzola got injured 76 minutes, I think. So there was 14 minutes, then 7 minutes of added time. And of that 21 minutes, the ball was in play for 9 of the 21. So I know that normally it's around about 65% the ball's in play. So it's 60% of 21 is 14. And the ball was in play for 9 of that 14. So yeah, they managed to lose themselves 5 minutes, or lose Belgium 5 minutes.
Yeah, Donnarumma had a finger injury, and I was sat there thinking, there is absolutely nothing wrong with his finger. That probably wasted about 4 or 5 minutes away. It was classic, vintage Italy, but we will talk more about them later in the show. Josh, England v Denmark at Wembley on Wednesday, the Euro 2020 in 21 semi-finals. It was a comprehensive win from England against Ukraine on Saturday. That just really made light work of them, didn't they?
Oh, I loved every second of it. I thought Ukraine, they did help us out a little bit. I didn't think they were very good, but I just loved the way we performed for 90 minutes, basically. I was a bit surprised that Rice and Phillips both started, considering they're only a booking away from being suspended. But they both played superbly. Sterling's pass for Kane's first goal I thought was unbelievable. I still don't really know how he saw him. So I'm sure the referee was in his line of vision, but it's unbelievable. Then you had Shaw getting 2 assists on Mourinho's new home ground. Thought that was a nice touch for him. Harry Maguire as well, scoring a goal, hitting the target for once as well, I should say. Just everything about it was just amazing.
Yeah, Jonathan, it was just an incredible night, really, for England. I expected them to win, but I didn't expect them to win 4-0. 4-0 in the quarterfinals against anyone is a sensational result. Well, yeah,
England have never scored 4 in a knockout game in 90 minutes, so it's unprecedented. The only previous time they scored 4 was in a knockout game of a major tournament, was the World Cup final in '66, and obviously 2 of those were in extra time. So, yeah, you can say it's only Ukraine, but Ukraine were okay against Sweden. They were decent against Sweden. And I think what was telling was the way Ukraine won that game was through the wing-backs. The wing-backs, like Germany's wing-backs, just weren't involved. That with a very different tactical setup, Southgate found a way of negating the opposition's main strength. So against Germany, he matched them up with wing backs and drove back Kimmich and Goossens. Here he said, okay, I think we're going to dominate possession through the middle, so we'll just stick our wingers behind your wing backs. What are you going to do about it? And Sterling that first 20 minutes and Sancho the last sort of 15 minutes of the first half absolutely ripped them apart. And okay, there was sort of 10 minutes maybe before half time where it got a little bit edgy, but as soon as the second goal went in, it was game over. And I had a very strange experience that, because I was writing live on the game, so you have to file on 90 minutes. And what I hadn't appreciated before was how much that's driven by adrenaline. And so once the fourth goal goes in, I was just like, it's easy. Like, we know it's going to happen. And I ended up being late because I didn't have that adrenaline surge of kind of, what's happening? Type. And also, because I've just moved into a new flat, I don't have a TV. So I was watching it on my iPad on iPlayer. And so I knew a good 90 seconds before the goals went in on my iPad that goals were being scored because I could hear it from all the flats around.
Oh, I hate that.
Well, I kind of hate it, but it sort of, in the second half, it became good because especially when the third goal went in, and I was like, are they just celebrating the replay or is that like another goal? Oh, it's another goal. So yeah, in the second, it was quite nice, but I hope I get the telly sorted out before the semi.
Yeah, very, very important. You've only got a few days to do it as well. Josh, it turns out, after a few bits of criticism in the group stage and pre-Germany, Gareth Southgate can pick the right team for certain games. He mixed it up again. He went the four at the back, like Jonathan said. Sancho did come in a little bit like you from absolutely nowhere, but it turns out Gareth Southgate does know what he's doing.
It's incredible, really, isn't it? Everything he's decided on has come good. I know, like, just with Maguire, I think there was a little bit of doubt whether he should rush him back. Mings was playing so well, obviously, at the time. But Maguire's been unbelievable, I think, since he's come in. Hasn't put a foot wrong. He's been commanding at the back, driven the ball forward, making his presence felt in the opposition penalty area. So, I mean, like, that's amazing. No, I don't think at that point, everyone probably just given up on Sancho at this tournament. He wasn't getting a look in. His start was obviously caught everyone by surprise. And obviously he wasn't at his best, but he showed like exactly what he's all about. He was cutting in from the side, dribbling past players. His pass selection was incredible. He knew when to release the ball, when to speed past players. Like, he probably won't play in the next game, but you wouldn't doubt whoever Southgate picks at this point. He's just, everything he's deciding on has been spot on.
Yeah, Jonathan, you moved to Manchester United. You get yourself straight in that side from nowhere, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I like about Southgate is that you get all these, especially around international football, you get all these shibboleths that you get, so after England had lost to Croatia in the last World Cup, you got people saying, England need a Modric, all the best international teams have a Modric. It's just not true. If you've got a Modric, you've got a Modric, great. If you haven't, you can't just magic him up. You can't pick an inferior player because he fits some predefined role. You've got to work out how to get the best out of what you've got. And another one you hear is, he doesn't know his best 11. Well, best 11 is such a sort of 1980s idea. You have a squad. In this particular squad, you have 26 players. And for each game, you choose the best components for the task in hand. And you probably do need a core to maintain some kind of continuity. But yeah, Southgate obviously decided that the way to upset Zinchenko was to put pace behind him, pick Sancho. It worked. And I think that's really encouraging. And it also, I think, it makes it harder for opposition managers because they're not quite sure what Southgate's going to do. It's harder for them to prepare. I'm really unclear whether he'll pick a 3 or a 4 at the back against Denmark. So that makes it that little bit harder for Kasper Hjulmand to prepare because he doesn't know what he's going to be facing. And I think if you've got a tactical base good enough and you've got players who are tactically aware enough, then that's an enormous strength to have. And one of the things I think maybe we haven't fully appreciated yet, and this might be coincidence, but it might be deliberate, the fact that England played a back 3 all last year, then switched to a back 4 in March. And the sort of the sensation at the time was, he's doing that because England play San Marino Island and Poland, and he thinks he can beat them, so he's picking a more attacking lineup. Well, maybe that was true, but also what it did was say, well, we've got a year playing with a back 3, and now we've had 3 games playing with a back 4 plus the 2 friendlies in Middlesbrough, so 5 games playing with a back 4. We can do either, and we'll choose the right one according to circumstance. And that I think is a hugely beneficial thing. And probably as an international manager with limited time, that probably is the way to do it if you want to set up to have two different formations.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan talks about the flexibility there, Josh, and Southgate didn't really want a 26-man squad, but actually the fact that we've had that 26-man squad and the way Southgate has managed it, it's kind of set England apart from the rest of the nations. I actually think Southgate's managed his squad better than any other country so far.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it was really nice touch from Southgate again after the game on at the weekend that he made it. His first point was to praise the guys that weren't involved. I thought like he seems to know what to say at the right times, and he always has done. He's always been brilliant with handling difficult subjects with the media. But yeah, like he just really wanted to praise the guys that hadn't been involved. And I think before the start of the tournament, if you would have like guessed who wouldn't have been involved, you probably definitely wouldn't have suggested Ben Chilwell wouldn't be involved. Like you would have thought he would be challenging Shaw to start, but he hasn't even played, and he didn't even come on at the weekend. It was Trippier.
I was surprised at that.
But you like normally you would expect maybe Chilwell's head to go down, like Calvert-Lewin being left out of the squad the one before. But Southgate just seems to know what to do to keep these players involved, motivated, and happy ultimately. And in this short time, you need to keep the camp as happy as possible for them to be a success. And like with this England camp, it's so different to any England camp that I've ever seen before in my lifetime. The unity between everyone is just incredible. Like you couldn't imagine. I was watching some of the England content that they've been putting out, and Shaw was talking about Saka, how he wished that Saka was basically his son. Like he just loved him so much. And you wouldn't, that's at Arsenal and Man United players talking about each other, which you wouldn't normally expect. Like you couldn't imagine, I think it was the 2002 World Cup, Martin Keown saying that about a young Rio Ferdinand. That just wouldn't have happened. But I guess it's just like it's just a change of the times. It's just nice to see. And even like Southgate before, I think it was in the World Cup qualifiers, he was playing two-touch with Foden and Bellingham, just getting to know them sort of thing, but like subtly. And I think he's just been amazing. I think he hasn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I heard Jonathan saying similar things about babyface assassin Martin Lawrence after last week. we knew as you said. And Jonathan, set piece England are back as well. We've been waiting for set piece England to come back, and they were there with a vengeance on Saturday night.
Yeah, and that is a big thing, I think. Whether they'll find it quite as easy against Denmark, I don't know. I mean, Ukraine's defending from those two set plays was pretty ropey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was such a strength at the World Cup. It seemed odd that it disappeared. And I think again that's where you just sort of see the intelligence of Southgate, that he thought about it and thought, okay, I don't have much time available with the team, so I can't put in place incredibly sophisticated systems. What is a thing I can do that will have a significant positive impact? Let's really work on set plays, because every time you get a set play, I think 1 in 50 corners produce a goal. But if you can make that 5 in 50, suddenly you're in massive danger. And the thing is, once it starts to happen, it keeps on happening because opponents get terrified of you. We saw at the World Cup, the reaction of a lot of opponents was to give away penalties because they panicked in defending the corners. But also, you put a doubt in the defender's mind of, should I put this out for a corner? Oh no, it's England. They all score guns. I've got to not put it out for a corner, and maybe then you induce a mistake that way. So, being good at set plays and having a reputation for being good at set plays, they're both enormous assets to have. And of course, one of England's strengths is that they've got a lot of big players who are good at heading the ball. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily include Jordan Henderson in that, but certainly Maguire, Stones. I mean, Stones hit the post, of course, against Scotland from a corner. Maguire and Stones are great. Great guns having your Arsenal.
Yeah, Harry Kane useful.
And Kane as well.
Yeah. We're going to look at some of the England players now and the highest rated aspect of it. So WhoScored have got England's top 10 players of Euro 2020 so far, which I believe Josh has. Before we come into it, Jonathan, I want you to guess the top 3.
Guess the top 3. So not my top 3, what I think WhoScored's algorithm will have thrown up.
Yeah, let's say that.
Well, I know
you can pick your own as well. Pick your own.
Well, okay. Well, Sterling, I think, will be top of both. Because goals obviously help and assists help. So I guess clean sheets help, and Maguire has scored. So let's say Sterling, Maguire, and Shaw first clean sheets and assists. So I'll say Sterling, Maguire, Shaw as the 3 that they have.
I like thinking.
I personally, I would probably have Rice and Phillips in there, but I guess the job they do is often a job that's difficult to pick up in with data.
Yeah, I think I'd have John Stones number one personally, but I think I did go through it with Josh, and I've already forgotten who was in the top three. But I'm pretty sure John Stones wasn't number one. But yeah, he'd definitely be my pick. So come on then, Josh, go backwards from 10.
Okay, well, it's probably going to upset Jonathan. For the 10th is Declan Rice, but as you say, some things that those two do are difficult to pick up. But I think he has really grown into the tournament. I didn't think he was superb at the start, but I think he's really, well, apart from Croatia, but he has really grown it into the tournament.
The Germany game particularly, he was excellent, especially given he got a booking so early.
Okay, for sure. And then so it's Rice in 10, then Grealish from his fleeting involvements in 9, Phillips in 8, and then Pickford, Kane and Sterling. And then the top 4, you were correct with 2 of the top 3. The top 4 is Stones, Mount, Shaw in 2nd, and Maguire in 1st.
Yeah, let's pick apart Mason Mount in 3rd, Jonathan. I'm not having that.
Well, it's if you're doing it sort of by an eye test, it's difficult to have him that high when he missed the biggest game. So I think that marks him down slightly. But he has had a superb tournament, and against Ukraine, you saw how good he was at leading the press. There was that moment, I don't know, about half an hour in, when Ukraine got away down the left. There was a little misunderstanding between Walker and Pickford, and the ball was cut back from the byline, and there was 2 Ukrainians totally unmarked in the box. And my first reaction was, "Oh, I hope they're getting each other's way," because it just looked like it was going to be a clear shot. And then suddenly Mount comes from nowhere and manages to get in both their ways simultaneously. And so to have the pace to get back, and B, the alertness to see the potential danger, I think you see what a tremendous all-round midfielder. Tremendous is a really football word, isn't it? I would never use that in any other context. What a tremendous all-round midfielder he is. I'm now thinking of the context which Michael Owen used the word tremendous, which maybe we shouldn't go into. But Mount to get back there, you saw his cleverness, his alertness, and his pace, and you see what a the tactical intelligence coaches talk about.
Yeah. Where was Luke Shaw? Sorry, Josh.
Shaw was 2nd. Shaw was 2nd.
Yeah, he was unbelievable the other night, Jonathan.
Yeah, and delivery's excellent. He's very good at getting on the front foot and making tackles around about the halfway line, which is where you want to make him. Because then if you make a mistake, you're probably not going to get booked for it, and it's a free kick in a place that's not that dangerous. So his link up with Sterling, I think, is very important. That he gives Sterling a bit of freedom because he backs him up so well. And then, I think you see the first and the third goals both come from that axis, and even the Harry Kane shot that led to the corner that led to the 4th, which would have been one of the greatest goals of all time if that had gone in, that volley from Kane. That was, again, it was their interaction down the left which produced that chance. So yeah, Shaw's been, and I would add Chilwell at the start of the tournament. But I've been converted to Shaw in a big way over the course of the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's been tremendous, to coin your phrase. And Josh, what you're seeing with that link up down the left-hand side, actually, you probably wouldn't have seen at the start of the tournament, but it's now confidence and repetition of playing together. That link, Sterling, when he made that little blind pass down to Luke Shaw, he wouldn't have done that in the first couple of games, but now they're building those relationships. They're kind of knowing where each other are going to be, and the confidence is really up.
For sure. I mean, when at the start of the tournament, I was a bit concerned actually, because I didn't think Shaw and Sterling had any chemistry whatsoever. I think there was one ball that Shaw put over the top for Sterling to run onto, but apart from that, there didn't seem to be that much between them. But yeah, they've definitely really grown into the tournament, as England have really. But yeah, and like just another point about the defence, I think it's really important that we have the Manchester combinations. I think Maguire playing with Shaw at club level obviously helps, and also Stones and Walker helps. I think it's so important at the back, and they all just seem to know how each other plays, obviously, because they play with each other every week, and I think that's really given the team a lot of confidence going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't having Raz. I like all the nicknames that they've got for each other. They're so simple. But yeah, I wasn't having Raz before the tournament. He wouldn't have been in my team, but he's been really, really good. I ate humble pie there. I got that wrong. What we're going to do now is pick our team, which I always find really difficult, Jonathan, because whatever way you think, Gareth Southgate will have something completely different in the back of his mind that he's going to do. But should we try and pick the team together? Then we could probably say Jordan Pickford's going to be in goal.
Well, okay, let's start off. What are we playing? Three at the back, four at the back?
Well, I presumed we'd have a goalkeeper, so
fine.
I wanted to get that out of the way.
Pickford's a given, but I'll take that.
Yeah. But then what system? Well, I don't know. Half of me thinks he's going to play three at the back and match Denmark up, but then the other part of me thinks he might just keep it the same system because it works against Ukraine. I don't know. What do you think, Jonathan?
I think there's good arguments both ways. Instinct says a 4.
Yeah.
Partly because it worked so well, and also with the best will in the world, the two Danish wing backs. I think Mæhle on the left has been sensational.
Well, that cross.
Striegel Larsen on the right has been good, but I don't think he's the combination of the two. I think is not quite as threatening as Kimmich and Goossens. So I think the fact it's at Wembley, the fact that England are coming off a 4-0, it probably makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I could argue myself out of this by the end of the sentence to try and take the initiative and put Denmark on the back foot by playing your wingers in behind them. And I think really the decision there's no rights and wrongs in this, but I think the reason that you go with the 4-3-3 against Ukraine and the back three against Germany is what your expectation of what happens in the middle of the pitch is. Do you expect to dominate possession? And I think if you look at England's midfield against a Danish midfield, so Delaney, Højbjerg, I think you'd probably think that Phillips, Rice and Mount should be able to control that. And so then you take the more attacking option and go 4-3-3. So I 51-49, I'll say 4-3-3.
Yeah, I'm easy. I can be swayed for it. I will say it's a good job Martin's not here because he'd have been trying to play 4-4-2. We'd have had no chance. We'd have had no chance of getting through this segment. Josh, then you can have the deciding vote. What would you go with?
So I've actually put together our best rated 11, and it is a 4-3-3. It's Pickford in goal, obviously, and then you've got the back four of Walker, Stones, Maguire, and Shaw. I think
that's what I would have.
Another point on Maguire is I think obviously in this fixture last time we played, Maguire was sent off in 31 minutes, wasn't he? He got 2 bookings, and at that point, he just seemed mentally gone. Like that was just not long after the court case in Greece. And I think everyone was really calling for him to have a break. Obviously, that didn't happen, and he's come through it amazingly. So he comes into this game, obviously, in probably like the form of his life. But then moving into midfield, we've got a 3 of Phillips, Rice and Mount. And then it's Sterling, Kane, and then Grealish completing the front three. But obviously, is Grealish going to play? Probably unlikely, but...
Well, what was Southgate whispering into his ear? I've tried to find out and I've not got anywhere. Southgate was whispering into his ear after the game, Jonathan.
He was, but surely you have to use Grealish on the left if you use him, and that link up between Sterling and Shaw is so good.
Yeah, that's the problem now for him.
And so then I guess the question is it Saka or is it Sancho? And I think, given how good Mæhle's been, you need somebody who you can really rely on defensively, and therefore it has to be Saka.
Oh, I think it'll be Saka as well. Yeah, so our team actually would be the same as the WhoScored team. I'd be tempted for Grealish instead of Mount. It's not going to happen. But in a game like this, no, you're not having that, Jonathan? No, we just said Mount is the most tactically intelligent English player. Oh, you said that. I didn't. You said that.
And in terms of leading the press, in terms of offering a great range of passing as well as being exceptionally alert defensively, I think Mount's almost the first name on the team sheet. It's just where you put him. Having written him down as number 7 or whatever, where does he end up playing?
Yeah, I mean, there has been the last few games, Josh, a wild card pick coming from nowhere for each game. Do you see a wild card pick for this game? Who would it be at this point?
Probably Ben White or someone like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you wouldn't count against it. But I think the wild card position is that winger, really, isn't it? It's like who completes the front three. And it does sound like Saka's back in contention, which does make me think that we will stick with a back four unless Saka somehow plays as a wing back, which he has for Arsenal. But I do think we might stick with the 4 if Saka is in contention to play. But I think in the two Nations League games against Denmark, we played with a back three, and we didn't do very well at that. And obviously, time's gone on, and Denmark actually played in a back four in both of those games. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a bit of a few surprises from both managers. Christensen's played and pushed into midfield, hasn't he, in this tournament? So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do that as well. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's surprises. I wouldn't be surprised if there are surprises from both managers.
Yeah, Jonathan, one thing we actually spoke about at the start of the tournament was perhaps Mount on the right. I actually really like Mount on the right. If he's worried about Mailer, you could have Mount on the right hand side and play Grealish as a 10, and that would class as a wild card selection. Let me live. Let me try and get him in the team. Come on, Jonathan.
I mean,
what's coming home, Jonathan?
That could happen. It won't happen. That could happen.
I feel like an idiot.
Well, I don't know. Should we get Gary Shaw back to play on the right wing?
No, he's that whisper in the ear. There was something being said. What was he saying? There was something going on funny there.
Well, presumably he was saying, I didn't bother to bring you on in this game because we're already 4-0 up and we'll need you fresh to come off the bench for half an hour to go against Denmark.
Okay, fine. Okay, that does make sense.
Or, sorry, son, you're not good enough, but, we'll make sure you have a nice time for next week, and if you want to have a drink tonight, feel free.
No, even you don't believe he's not good enough.
I don't. In terms of Mount playing on the right, I think the only way that I suppose you could do that and bring Henderson in the midfield, which would make it very stodgy, I think, through the middle.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Or if England go to a back three, I think there's an argument to play Mount on the right rather than Saka or Sancho, which he did very well in the game against Belgium in the second half. The game
that's valid.
I'd rather have somebody who more naturally runs behind Kane, but I could see an argument in terms of blocking up Mailer. I could see why you might do that, but I think that would be a second. That would be a plan B if things start to go wrong. If Mailer starts to get away from Saka, whoever plays on the right, you could make that switch, and then you'd have essentially Trippier and Mount doubling up on that side.
Yeah, if he did play three at the back, and that's what he wants to do. That would be what he would do, wouldn't he? Because he wouldn't leave Mason Mount out, and he isn't going to change the two sitters. So that would actually be what he did if we did play three at the back. Yeah,
I think so. And obviously Trippier comes in and Walker plays the right side centre back.
Yeah. Well, interesting. We'll see what happens on Wednesday night. Denmark then, Josh, recovered from a poor start, obviously recovered from horrendous adversity. They've rallied round. I mean, for all the playing for Christian Eriksen, they're actually playing without probably their best player. So they deserve a lot of credit to get this far.
There definitely is an element of emotional momentum behind them, but I think they're obviously so much more than that. I think Joachim Mailer has been a revelation for them. He's playing on the wrong side of where he plays as a right wing back for Atalanta, playing on the left for Denmark, and he's playing amazingly. And then they've brought in Damsgaard, who's added that unpredictability in attack, which they may not have had before. And then they've got two hard workers in Højbjerg and Delaney in midfield. And then they've got some big guys at the back as well. I thought it was quite interesting in the Czech Republic game that after quite a few unsuccessful high crosses into the box, the goal that they actually scored came from a low cross. I'm not sure if that's something that England will work on. I know Shaw does like to cut the ball back. He did it against Ukraine after a Maisie Sancho run, and the ball where he put the ball across where Sancho would have been if he was still on that side. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took something from that. But yeah, Denmark obviously so much more than just playing for Eriksen, which obviously has helped and united the squad massively. But they're a real threat, and there'll be a much harder test than Ukraine were. Yeah,
that was my favourite goal of the tournament so far, Jonathan. I mean, I think in the commentary they said that Dolberg couldn't miss. It was an unbelievable ball, but it was an unbelievable finish as well.
Yeah, aside from volley from about 10 yards, I mean, plenty of ways you can miss that. I don't want to say that they're playing better without Eriksen, but I think not having Eriksen has allowed Kasper Hjulmand to do something he might not otherwise have done, which is to go to that back three and bring in Damsgaard. And I think Damsgaard has given them an extra option. I think it seems to be the way things have gone generally in this tournament, that with the exception of in Italy and England in 4 of the games, the better teams have, or the teams who've been more successful have played a back three. and that seems to be a way of I suppose Spain haven't either. So okay, only one of the semi-finalists. But there has been definitely, if you look at the quarterfinals, there was a trend of going to a back three because that's a way of liberating the fullbacks without losing that defensive solidity. And I think that's not such an issue at club level because the press is so much better because you have more time to work on it. So I think they have benefited from that. I think for all we talk about England's ability from set plays against Kerr, Christensen, and Vestergaard, it's going to be very hard to win headers there. They are going to have to find a different way of doing that. And that probably means attacking wide because Højbjerg and Delaney have a solid block in the middle as well. So I think there will be a lot of onus again on Sterling and then whoever plays on the right. Yeah,
it could turn into quite a cagey affair, actually, Josh, when you think of those two defensive midfielders, England with Rice and Phillips, and then Hiober. I can never say his name, can I? I've done about 50 podcasts now for WhoScored, and I just can't get his name right. So I'm going to carry on. But you know what I mean? The two sets of defensive midfielders, they're very, very good and very tactically astute. So it could actually turn into a cagey affair.
Yeah, I think the good thing about that is that against Ukraine, England did predominantly play down the wings. I think there wasn't much action through the middle. I think Mount, especially, didn't really have that much influence because everything was focused on going down the wings, which I think, again, is something, as Jonathan said, we're going to have to get wide and we're going to have to try and find a way to get the ball into Kane. That's probably not in the air just because their defenders are so big. But yeah, I mean, you can sort of bet that Southgate has a plan because he has this whole tournament.
Yeah. You know what this game needs, Jonathan, don't you? Mainly because I can actually say his name. Go on. A Billy Gilmore. That's what he needs. That's what this game needs. As I say, the main reason being because I can actually say his name. You've got a combined 11, haven't you, Josh?
I have, yeah.
Denmark have made it into that combined 11.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 Danish players in it. So at this point now, we feel there's enough games to do it purely on Euro 2020 ratings. Yeah. So not international fixtures from this year, but Euro 2020. So starting in goal, it's Pickford.
No. Let's let Jonathan have a guess. Guess the 4 players, Jonathan.
Oh, guess it. Well, my combined 11 had 9 English players, mainly because I picked a 4-3-3. If I picked a back three, it might have been different. But because I picked a 4-3-3, I only whatever the past tense of that is. I only managed to select 2 Danish players who were Schmeichel and Damsgaard. So Schmeichel over Pickford and Damsgaard over the mystery man on the right. And then the other 9, Walker, Stones, Maguire, Shaw, Rice, Phillips, Mount, Kane and Sterling. But I would imagine a couple of centre-backs get in for Denmark, do they? And maybe Milo as well? Well, Milo and Shaw must be difficult.
That was really difficult. So I'll just run through the team quickly. It was Pickford in goal, and we did a back 3. So Christensen was the sole Danish centre-back that made it in with Stones and Maguire. And then you had Milo that just pipped Shaw to the left, which is English fans probably will not like that at all. But Milo has
been brilliant.
He's been brilliant. And then you have Walker on the other side. He was the lowest rated player of this team, which I think is fair. I don't think Walker's been. I think he has been the weak point, if there is a weak point of the defence. And then it's Walker on right wing back, then Højbjerg and Mount in the middle, with Milo on the left, and then a front 3 of Kane, Sterling, and Dolberg.
Having that, Jonathan?
No, not at all.
No, I don't think I am either.
I mean, how does that front 3 line up? You got 2 centre forwards and a wide player. So what's Sterling got behind?
A very roaming Raheem Sterling free roll.
And Mount deep in midfield. Not entirely convinced by that. I know he's done it a couple of times, but.
This was your chance, Josh. This was your chance to narrow down the place. You came. I thought I had high hopes when you came in with a realistic formation.
Yeah, I thought I might have better luck than Martin, but no.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get Martin back for the next one.
It's just a WhoScored thing, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure Dolberg will play, will he, if Poulsen's fit? And the fact he came off the bench against the Czech suggests he is fit. I'd have thought Poulsen would come straight back in because I think what Poulsen gives him, I think he holds the ball a lot much better than Dolberg. Although Dolberg got the 3 goals over the 2 games, I think Poulsen, he brings Damsgaard into the game more. I think they say he looked more secure that final I don't know when he came on midway through the second half, like 5 or 25 minutes.
He's a bit more mobile.
Yeah, he just gave him more of an outlet. I sort of, so I assume that Poulsen will start. I mean, Dolberg's a bit of a funny player, isn't he? That he so highly rated, so young, and then sort of drifted a bit. But he's still only 23, I think.
He's still young, yeah. He looks older, but he's still young.
But he's one of those players who A, looks older, and B, just his career seems to have gone on for ages, and yet he's still only 23. So, and obviously had a difficult year with illness and injury and all the theft of his watch and his car, and all that nonsense.
Yeah. Let's finish then the preview of England v Denmark with some score predictions from you both. Josh, redeem yourself.
2-1 to England.
2-1 to England. In 90 minutes, is that?
Yeah, 90 minutes.
90 minutes. Jonathan?
Yeah, 1-1. England to win on penalties.
Oh, no, don't put me through that. That's not my one. That's not what I want to do.
I mean, if you look at, I mean, it would have been useful if I'd actually written this down. But I think, is it the last 7 or the last 8 meetings between England and Denmark at Wembley have finished 1-0, one way or the other? The thing is, I'm of a generation that, I was talking to John Bruin, he works for The Guardian, about this as well, that one of the first matches we remember watching on TV was Euro 84 qualifier at Wembley, so in 1983. So I just about remember the 82 World Cup. So I remember Brian Robson's goal against France after 17 seconds and everything. But England getting beaten 1-0 by Denmark at Wembley. And it was the beginnings of that great Denmark team with Jesper Olsen, Preben Elkjær, and Morten Olsen and Søren Lerby, and the great team. And Alan Stevenson, who of course wasn't there by 86 because he got injured. And it was the first time I became aware of the notion of regretting missing your chances, because England missed a load of chances in the first half and then Denmark won with the penalty. And so I think for people in their mid-40s now, that game was sort of scarring. That you sort of saw a technically better opponent sort of surviving a bit of a barrage and then out-technicking us. And then it's never stopped.
It's happened a few times.
So yeah, I'm very wary of Denmark. And the thought of actually scoring twice against them. I know we did it in the 2002 World Cup, but let's say 1-1.
I can say extra time. I'm going to go 2-1 to England after extra time. Guys, I'm nervous now. It's fine. I'm quite enjoying this preview, and now I feel quite nervous after that. But yeah, we're going to hear now. I'm hearing that he is here. He has turned up this week. We're going to hear now from BetVictor's Sam Boswell to look ahead to the semi-final markets. Welcome back to Sam Boswell from BetVictor. Bit of a mix-up last week, Sam. You were obviously away, very, very busy, but you're back now, and that's the important thing. So let's start with the big one, England v Denmark, Euro 2020 semi-final. What's floating your boat in the individual match market?
Well, as you'd expect, England incredibly short here in terms of the betting. 7-10, England to win at time of recording. The draw in the 90 minutes, 5-2, and the Danes to cause a mini upset. I think it's fair to say 17-4. I must say, if you go back through recent meetings between the two, Denmark don't have a bad record against us. The 2 qualify market, England even shorter as you expect at 4-11. 2-1, the Danes to get the job done and qualify for the final. Boost already on the site. Couple catch my eye. England to win 2-1. Will this be the game England concede their first goal of the tournament? I think Denmark might have enough to trouble us. I wouldn't say they look like a team that you'd think are nailed on to score, but we've boosted that to 9-1. Certainly catches the eye there. Raheem Sterling boosted to 5-1 to score the first goal. Obviously, he's been in great form throughout the tournament. And England just now, I think we're starting to see what I would call not just patriotic money as well, but people really getting behind England. Go back to the Germany game. Actually, Germany would have been a bad result for us. So I feel like we've now got the combination of not just the patriotic money, but the smart money as well. England looking like a well-oiled machine against the Ukraine. Coming out of that 4-0 winners, a repeat of that would be a huge price. 22-1, England to win 4-0 if you think lightning will strike twice. But overall, it's just all about England, really, at this stage. We're fully expecting people to go hard. To win to nil, I'm expecting that to be a popular bet, potentially 13-8, if you think they can keep this remarkable defensive record going and win in the 90 minutes.
What about Harry Kane to continue his goal-scoring form? Obviously, didn't score at all in the group stage. Now he's on fire in the knockouts. Is there anything special going on around him?
13-5 first goal scorer. it's amazing, isn't it? We're so fickle, I think, and as a media and as an organisation. I've had friends all telling me, we should have dropped him, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes and does what he does, and Harry's back to his best. But yeah, a short price for first goal scorer, as it should be. Normal service, very much resumed. Harry Kane, will he do the business for England? I'd be surprised if he doesn't get at least one in this game. If you think he'd be the first goal scorer for England and you want to take a bit of insurance there, he's 15-8.
He would have been quite long odds, wouldn't he, for the Golden Boot? But he's suddenly got an outside chance now, hasn't he? Obviously, because so many players have fallen away this tournament and he's still there. There's an outside chance that he could pick up that Golden Boot for the second consecutive tournament.
Do you know what? He's far too short for me, but he's 7-2, which in context, two players ahead of him is Cristiano Ronaldo and Patrick Schick. They're both 7-4. Obviously, they've done their business at the tournament, but 7-2 Harry Kane at the moment. Raheem Sterling next in with us at 10-1. Immobile of Italy 40s, and then you can basically name your price. The rest, they're all much bigger. So he does look like the one that's got the opportunity to get there. Fingers crossed, he'll be firing England to the final and lifting that trophy. And who knows, maybe that 7-2 will look good value. But for me, I can sit and watch and just hope England win.
Yeah, before we go on to Italy v Spain, are the England players shaping up the player of the tournament market now as well?
Yeah, that's an interesting kind of idea, isn't it, player of the tournament? I mean, we've seen some interest in every England player kind of that's been fairly consistent, the likes of Jordan Pickford. There was a little bit of interest in him. Player of the tournament, I just always think with that kind of market, it's going to come down to, I think you need players, and sounds really obvious. I'd be slightly worried with Raheem Sterling at 4-1 favourite with us. That has Raheem had his best performances in dragging England through the group stage? And, do you want to look at Harry Kane, who's next best at 8-1? Other players in there to give a mention to, Jorginho's been incredibly good for Italy, 14-1. Chiellini, 20-1. There is clearly an England bias to this market, and it just tends to lean that way. If you still think your magic man, Jack Grealish, can put in a couple of efforts to get him there, he's a 25-1 shot. But yeah, I mean, England players litter the market, and they're certainly the ones that people have taken most interest in. If I was having to have a play at this stage, I'm always hesitant to put up a striker because they tend to lean towards having the golden boot. But I would put up a non-England player, and I'd probably look at Jorginho. I can see him at least being in the final with Italy, and I think he's been pretty exceptional so far.
Let's look a little bit at Italy v Spain now. What's going on in the match markets there?
Yeah, much tighter as you'd imagine here. Italy 7-5, 11-5 the draw, and 2-1 Spain in the 90 minutes market. Italy just shading it in the to qualify, 8-11, Spain even money. And for me, I've spent a lot of time watching both these sides. I think Italy should be a little bit shorter. I think they've impressed. Spain obviously needing penalties to edge past the Swiss, and some of their other performances have certainly been questionable. But it doesn't really matter how you get to a semi-final, as long as you can go and win the semi-finals to reach the final, I suppose. And it is an interesting side. Obviously, Italy losing key players injury-wise as well. Italy to win, both teams to score, been boosted to 19-4. And the way that this Italy side play, you can quite feasibly see that being the outcome. If you think it's going to be an entertaining game, over 3.5 goals, boosted to 15-4. It's a tough one to call this for me, but I must say Italy, for me, have been the most impressive team throughout the tournament, bar maybe England now. I'd say it's between the two of them. Betting-wise, we're expecting those two to contest the final. There are lots in there. It's going to be a fascinating game, and I know you guys have got a bet builder, which I'm looking forward to hearing for this game, but just to suggest that I think, for me, the only bet I'd be particularly interested here is Italy to qualify. I think 8-11, I can see that being a nice bet for the 90 minutes. If you get into the extra time and penalties, I'd certainly rather be backing the Italians to win a penalty shootout than Spain, having witnessed what we saw the other day.
Yeah, they've had a couple of high-scoring games, haven't they, Spain, as well? I feel like when Spain are there could be some goals. Obviously, Morata plays his football in Italy, has not set this tournament on fire at all. What is there anything around him going on?
Yeah, if you want to have him to be the first Spanish goal scorer in 90 minutes, he's a 3-1 shot. In the first goal scorer market, he's 9-2, which looks a fair price. I just don't know. I can't work out what kind of Spain side we can expect here, and how would you approach the game to try and beat the Italians, who have looked so impressive. I just think Morata. Maybe it's from his time in England, but I can't get on board with him at that price for first goal scorer. I think I can let him slide. I'd much rather take Immobile at 4-1 if you're looking at a first goal scorer bet. But then again, I seem to have turned into the biggest Italy fan going throughout the tournament.
Before we let you go, then let's look at the outright winner market for the Euros. England favourites?
Well, the outright winner market, as you'd expect, is we've just got the dead four there. Obviously, there's no each way betting at this stage. And it is really screaming out that it's a case of England and Italy. That's who everyone wants. 11-8 England, 2-1 Italy, 3-1 Spain, and 9-1 Denmark. For my money, I do think we'll see an England-Italy final. I'd be very hopeful to see England progress and lift the trophy, but that's what the betting would suggest. It is tight between the two. I suppose the Spanish are probably the wild card in there at 3-1. Denmark would be some story, wouldn't it, with everything they've gone through this tournament, the issue that Christian Eriksen had. But I think for everyone's money, it'd be very surprised to see England not going off favourites should they reach the final against whoever they play.
Well, thanks ever so much for joining me, Sam. Always a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully you'll enjoy the game on Wednesday because you are going, you lucky so-and-so. So, yeah, enjoy that.
I'm very lucky. I've got a friend who was very fast as finger first when it came to the tickets coming out. We took a bit of a punt to get past Ukraine, so it's him I must thank. It's not my inside knowledge, unfortunately. It's got me there.
Okay.
We're going to have a great day. And like I say, if anyone hasn't signed up at BetVictor.com, just to make them aware, we're still offering the £20 money back if your first bet loses. Terms and conditions do apply. And as ever, we encourage you to gamble responsibly, but you can check that all out over at BetVictor.com.
Thanks very much to Sam. As ever, excellent stuff. Italy v Spain then, Jonathan. Spain are still, although even though I've watched every game of them, cannot work them out at all. Are they good? Are they not? They're in the semis. They must have something about them. I just can't work them out.
Well, they're very good to in midfield and they create a lot of chances. And I think if you look at their XG, it's very good. The problem is they just don't take the chances, and they keep missing penalties. I think defensively in the middle at the back they're a bit ropey. So they're a team who are very very good at one thing and quite bad at a lot of other things. And they've had a pretty kind draw. I mean, I think that group was fairly straightforward. Poland, who always sort of self-destruct at major tournaments. Sweden, who are solid, but I mean, I know Isak got a couple of chances against, but essentially Sweden let you play your game. Slovakia, who are dreadful. And then, Croatia, bizarre game. Which they end up winning it twice because of the problems they have in the middle of the back. And then Switzerland, they were struggling a bit till the red card. So, they're clearly not a bad team, but there are a lot of questions about them, and I think they have been fortunate at times.
Yeah, Switzerland would have had them if it wasn't for that stupid red card. Did you think that was a red? Oh, I didn't think it was a red at all.
No, I mean, it's one of those when it happened, I sort of thought, he might send him off for that. That's a bit harsh. And then, but there's just no force in it, is the point. But you should, there's no force in it. But why is this left foot raised? There's no need for it to be raised. He sort of created difficulty for himself. He didn't need to.
It really ruined my day, that did. You know what I did to bring BetVictor into it? I said I was going to back Switzerland, didn't I? In a bet build, like a fourfold accumulator, and I forgot to do it before the game. And when they went 1-0 down, I was like, I'm going to do it now. So the odds were high. They got up to 17-1, and all the other three that I picked came in. If Switzerland had won that penalty shootout, I'd have had BetVictor's pants down again the second time. But no, that red card ruined the game for me. I was fuming. I was actually really cross after that game that Switzerland didn't win. Someone who is a nice player, Josh, Pedro. I think he might have a future in the game.
I know, it's incredible. If you think that this 18-year-old is playing in a position where Spain is so blessed with so many options and have even managed to leave so many good players out of their whole squad. I think Thiago didn't have the best of seasons with Liverpool, or certainly didn't live up to the expectations that many had, but an 18-year-old is keeping him out of the team. I think Thiago's played less than an hour over the 5 games, and I don't think you would have thought that. I think Pedri, I'm right in saying that Pedri's only missed 1 minute of their entire campaign, and that includes both extra time, both matches that went to extra time. It's just incredible. He's 18 years old. It's incredible, isn't it? I think everyone loves when a young player does well, but I don't think many people would have predicted that an 18-year-old for Spain would be one of the first names on the team sheet. It just says so much about the faith that Luis Enrique has in him.
Yeah, he was quite unfortunate to credited with that own goal from that ridiculous back pass because that definitely touched the goalkeeper, Jonathan, and the own goal got given to Pedro.
Well, it touched the keeper, but if a striker has a shot and it's on target and the keeper gets a hand to it, it doesn't go down as no goal to the keeper.
I thought he was unfortunate, but you probably
it's unlucky. But it's the same as the Gary Neville one in Zagreb when Paul Robinson took the air shot. So I went down as a Gary Neville own goal, even though it was Robinson's fault. So he'll get over it, I'm sure.
That's what he'll be remembered for, though. His whole career. that own goal. Do you like Pedro, Jonathan?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's just exactly what a Spanish midfielder should be. Incredibly good on the ball. His first touch, you don't have to think about it. And I think that's one of the things that allowed that change in football, sort of from Guardiola getting the Barcelona job onwards, is that really for the first time in football history, partly because of the pitches being better, partly because of a crackdown on tackling from behind, partly because boots are better, but players being technically better. And so the first touch you don't have to think about. You just know that certainly 8 or 9 of your starting 11 are going to have a velvet first touch. And once you can be confident in that, then the shape that you can play, it makes 11-a-side like 5-a-side. And so it becomes much more about getting the patterns of passing right, because you're not having to think about, is he actually going to control it? And that speeds up the whole game. And he's of that generation. It's never known anything else. So I think he's a lovely player.
Yeah. He's probably the only thing that Barcelona have got right in the last few years, to be honest, getting him.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. I can't believe, like you say, Josh, that he's only 18. Jonathan, I quite wish England were playing Spain, because any cross that comes in, they look in big trouble.
Yeah, and you saw that against Croatia. I mean, Croatia must have wished they'd noticed that before the 83rd minute.
Yeah, it would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Because every time we put, just the most simple ball in the box, panic. And you sort of think, how can that be? It's not like Laporte's never sseen a cross ball before.
No.
But it was just chaos. So I don't know if that's necessarily the way Italy would play, but it does mean that set plays, you think of Bonucci and Chiellini rumbling up, that they certainly have a chance there. I mean, I'm not sure Immobile necessarily will be winning big headers, but maybe you don't need to be a big winner of big headers to prosper against that Spain.
Yeah, good to see Chiellini back. On a separate note, as I said in earlier podcasts, one of my favourite players. Great to see him back out there doing what he does best, being an absolute warrior. Italy in the flesh then, Jonathan. They're very, very good. As you've said, we've already talked about them a little bit at the top end of the show. But Spinazzola has been a massive part of how they've played. We've raved about him on this podcast, and he isn't going to be there. That's a massive miss for Italy, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a huge loss. I mean, he didn't really play in the qualifiers. That's the only thing you'd say is because of injury. He's a player who seems to struggle a lot with injuries. So it's not that Emerson Palmieri's coming to that team having never played in it before. But Spinazzola gave him such thrust going forward. His link up with Insigne down the left was brilliant. So that is a major blow for them, and we'll see. We'll see against Spain whether they can get that same attacking fluency without Spinazzola. And maybe they can. Maybe Palmieri just fits straight in. But he's a player who hasn't played a huge amount of football, and technically has a Champions League winners' medal. But it's very much a technical medal rather than one he was out there earning. And in the link up as well with Chiellini defensively, I'm sure it's an area Spain will probe early on.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been loving watching Italy. They've probably been the best team in the tournament so far, Josh. Me and you talked a little bit about him off camera before we started, but Jorginho is just integral to how they play.
Yeah, I mean, he could end the summer with a Champions League, a proper Champions League medal, unlike Emerson, and also an integral part in a Euro-winning side. He's been, considering how English fans looked at him when he first joined, really disappointed, often criticised. He's had an incredible, turnaround, really. He's like you said, he's integral to the way that Italy are playing. He's one of the midfielders that will definitely be there. There's talks whether Locatelli can come in for one of the other two, but Jorginho will always be there because he's so important to the way they play. And I think you can just see how much he benefits from having that defensive solidity behind him. And I think it just shows how important that is for any team. Having people you can trust behind you just gives you the confidence to do your game properly. And I think that's what we're seeing from Jorginho.
Yeah, you better not be bringing Locatelli back in for my man, Verratti. I won't be very happy if that happens. Jonathan, Chiesa or Berardi?
I think it's got to be Chiesa.
Great player.
Yeah, I mean, obviously got the opening goal against Austria, but I think he's just a better player than Berardi. I think it's as simple as that. I know he's younger, but his first touch is better. He looks lively. He's clearly in form. If you were facing him, you'd worry in a way you wouldn't about Berardi. So I think Chiesa's. I mean, I can see some logic in saying, is he better coming off the bench when legs are tired? The Grealish role, if you will. But yeah, I think they've got to start him over Berardi.
I love Chiesa. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I can say this because I'm half Italian and I've got a lot of Italian family. But Chiesa he's very Italian looking. Just looks Italian down that right hand side. But an excellent footballer. Josh, combined 11 time again. First off, what formation have you picked?
4-3-3. So the one they both play.
Sensible. Yeah, that makes sense. It's sensible. What have we got team wise?
So in goal we've got Donnarumma. I would say that Unai Simon has obviously that error he made was horrendous, but he has bounced back really well from that, to his credit. He has made some important saves, but Donnarumma gets it in our team. The back
I was going to say I wouldn't have had that if Donnarumma hadn't got it.
Yeah.
He made two absolutely one particularly sensational save from De Bruyne in the first half against Belgium. Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's just incredible as well how many games he's played, racked up, and he's still. I don't even think he's probably still like 13 years old. But,
I think he's 21, isn't he? Is he 21, 22?
It's crazy. But yeah, moving into the back four, we've got Azpilicueta at right back. I think Spain have really benefited from him coming in ahead of Llorente. Yeah. And I think in Italy's team, they just don't really go down that side as much as they do on the left. And then we have Chiellini at the back with, this might be a bit controversial, with Acerbi. I think obviously he came in for a couple of games, but he has got a better rating than Bonucci and three of the Spain centre-backs that they've used. Spinazzola would complete the back four normally, but he's injured, so Jordi Alba comes in for him, which isn't a bad replacement, I guess. We've got an all-Italian midfield three. It's Locatelli, Jorginho and Verratti. Busquets was close to getting in, but obviously I think we'd all agree Jorginho has been better than him this summer. And then the front three is Sarabia on the right. I think that's kind of acceptable. Chiesa and Berardi have shared that role for Italy.
Yeah.
And I guess to a certain extent, Sarabia has as well with Ferran Torres, but Sarabia just gets it, and then it's Immobile and Insigne completing that for us.
We raved about Pedri and he's not in there.
I know. It is unfortunate, but I mean, Italy's midfield has been so dominant, I think, in this tournament. As a three, they've been so good. I would say as well, like Immobile and Sarabia were the lowest rated of the forwards, which I think is fair. I think Immobile, he's obviously scored a few goals, but I don't think he's looked fantastic. And Morata obviously has missed 400 chances this one.
At least. Yeah. Jonathan, what would your 11 be?
I mean, I struggled to get any Spaniards in, but obviously Spinazzola's absence brought Jordi Alba in at left back. I can see the argument for Azpilicueta at right back. I went for Di Lorenzo, but either or. I mean, I went with Bonucci and Chiellini. And then midfield, I had Pedri in ahead of Barella, so Jorginho and Verratti with Pedri. I mean, largely because Locatelli hasn't played with Jorginho and Verratti, certainly not from the start of the game. So I think you need the more creative presence there. So I think it becomes then a choice of Barella or Pedri. And then again, I can see an argument for Sarabia, but I want Chiesa on the right with Immobile and Insigne. So I've got 9 Italians and 2 Spaniards, and one of them is only because of injury.
Yeah, both lacking an out-and-out goal scorer, both Spain and Italy. I would say that's a deficiency for both sides. So if England do get to the final and have to play one of them, I would say that's a positive.
Yeah, Immobile was weirdly poor in Munich.
Yeah, I thought he was not good.
He was so greedy. He just seemed that he was determined to take the wrong option at all times. On the edge of the box, when he had his back to goal, he seemed like intent on shooting rather than passing it, like shuffling out wide sort of thing. Yeah, I thought he had a really poor game. Excellent
recovery powers, though. Unbelievable powers of recovery. Yeah. That horrendous injury that he managed to get up from when they scored the goal, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah, that's just... I And the thing is, I think it did actually play a part in the goal because it was a distraction to the Belgian defence.
Yeah, it's just lying in the penalty area.
Yeah. I mean, they should have just stepped up and made sure he was offside. And then I think it's pretty hard for VAR to decide somebody's not interfering if they're literally lying in the middle of the penalty area in front of the goal. Yeah. But, yeah, it didn't happen. And the finish was really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Let's finish then with your prediction, Jonathan, for this game.
2-0 Italy.
2-0 Italy. Josh?
Well, I'll explain it a bit more in our bet builder, but I've actually gone for there to be a draw. I think this game might go to extra time.
Do you? Okay, that's a good time to talk about the bet builder then.
Yep, so we've got a 3-parter for this one. It was originally 35-1, but BetVictor have kindly boosted it to 50. So the thinking behind it is, as I said, we think it might be a draw in 90 minutes. Historically, a draw is the most common result between these two teams. Italy actually don't have a very good record against Spain recently in major meeting between the two. I think Italy have failed to win 7 of the last 8. I think I'm correct in saying that. And yeah, both teams have won 11 times each, 15 have been drawn. And also the fact Spain have gone to extra time, or only have drawn, 4 of their 5 games this summer. Italy have obviously been taken into extra time by a less than impressive Austria team. So yeah, the thinking there is this game could require extra time, And then we've got 2 bookings to add on top of that. We've looked at individual duels for these bookings. So we've gone for Bonucci to be booked. He's actually been booked in each of the last 2 between the 2 sides. And while you wouldn't put your house on Morata scoring, he has generally been a nuisance at this tournament. He's the most fouled player at this tournament.
Okay.
So he will be up against his clubmate Bonucci. And then there's a similar thought process behind our next booking, which is for Koke. When you look at Italy's midfield, you think they're the ones that are doing the fouling, but that just hasn't been the case this summer. Jorginho and Verratti, who you definitely would normally think would foul a lot, they with Morata are the most fouled players at Euro 2020. And if you're looking at Spain's midfield and trying to find value in who might be the one that does a lot of the fouling, then you probably wouldn't look beyond Atletico Madrid's Koke. I think coming from an Atletico Madrid tenacious side, you'd think that he would be one that could give away quite a lot of fouls. And he was actually booked more times than he had shots on target last season. So yeah, just to run through that again, we've gone for a draw in 90 minutes and Bonucci and Koke to be booked. So that's 35-1, boosted to 50-1.
That's a pretty decent bet there. I mean, he probably shortens it quite a bit, but Verratti feels like a walking yellow card to me when he plays. It would be interesting to see what happened if you chucked him in there. But yeah, I think that's a generous bet from BetVictor, making up for Sam's no-show last week, I think. Being generous with us. That does us for this week's show. Thanks ever so much to Josh and Jonathan for joining me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you both. We will be back before the final to preview that final on Sunday. I mean, please, God, let it be England. I can't have us coming this far and it's not been in the final now. So yeah, we'll be back at some point before the final. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz if you are enjoying the podcast. Thanks ever so much for listening. Have a great day.